AM 560. The Answer.
By the way, I was wrong. Ilyich is Greek. Little correction from one of the suits. Verlon, Michigana.
This is the same conversation I tried to call in about Thursday that I was upset and up in arms about. Because you had said, instead of this food stamp stuff, reimburse Jules, and I disagree. We already pay for housing, we already pay for people medical, and we got to feed you forever too. You used another phrase, prove up. Well, I agree with that phrase. Prove you can't feed yourself. I want E-Verify for every citizen that signs up for welfare. I want to see what you bring in. I want to see what you make, what you bring in, what you pay for rent, what you pay for medical, what you pay for your bills, and I want to see if you can feed yourself, because you know I'm one of your only friends that hate the whole welfare system. No, because this is where the scam comes in at, with feeding these kids at the school, the lunch program, and everything else. This is where the waste is. One of the biggest, this is where the biggest fraud is right now.
$101 billion a year. But you do understand something. First of all, it's Jewel, not Jules, Amy. Secondly, the vast majority of the money as it's handed out to make a legitimate appearance of a credit card, I believe, me personally, from what I've lived through and what everybody sees with their open eyes, what's the percentage of it that's sold for pennies on the dollar of the welfare? How many people get arrested in Detroit, in Illinois, New York, New Jersey, for paying 30 cents on the dollar and then cashing it in for an arbitrage of charity, arbitrage of an entitlement? When you, in fact, allow the producer to keep the money, not only is that more beneficial and less government cheese in our economy, however, it incentivizes them to be honest because you can shut it off instantaneously. You realize that, right? So if Jewel was caught...
Yeah.
If Jewel was caught buying food stamps and arbitraging it the way so many people just pretend it doesn't happen, then Jewel would lose the entire contract. You have this scandal. This is a scandal, by the way, about this yellow banana Save-A-Lot bulldog. Over 50% up to 70% of all of its revenue came from food stamps, yet all the stores closed. Does that make sense? How's that possible? Because if you're selling that, I know some guys in the grocery business. Now, granted, they're smart. They did very well in the grocery store. Why is it Save-A-Lot can't do well? Why? What conclusion could you come to if you were Sherlock? Because they were never providing the food in the first place. That's why. Because they were never providing the food in the first place. And now any change to that system of fraud, and it throws their entire model of arbitrage off, right? So if they had a work requirement, which is what you're saying, that's what Trump did. Trump added a work requirement. You got to work 80 hours a month, which is 20 hours a week, if you're able-bodied and you can tie your own fracking shoes. And that's throwing the whole world up in order. Why? Because the vast majority of that entitlement, like Medicare and Medicaid and the rest, is being stolen. It's being frauded. So you have to always incentivize, like the same thing with doctors. Like these doctors are going to go to jail. They'll do real time. If the doctor cheats Medicare, put them away for life. You can't do that to the constituents because they're nameless. You have illegal aliens all over the place. You have people who are heroin addicts that are selling it for pennies on the dollar. You cannot give these people their own money. They've proved economic illiteracy. To your point, they can't. What am I going to make you feel like an adult? You can't be one. So it's same thing with the landlord, and it proves itself. You can have charity. Let the provider discount out of what he owes the government. And you break the back of the taxing extortionist. That's all you do it, babe. Simple. Greg and LaGrange.
Hey, I don't know which way to go. I don't know whether I should defend Verlon's point, which I agree with. I think he was making a different point, or go my way.
Right.
I think I'll go my
stick
way
with your own way. I don't know if you've ever been around Verlon, but to argue on his point, you're going to lose. So stick with your way.
Here's my problem. And here's my problem with the administration. And here's where the problem starts right at the top. It's wonderful. You have this big, beautiful bill. You're helping people with wages and tips, and that's fantastic. But I'll tell you what, this administration has done one of the most horrendous jobs in explaining and trying to reduce costs for all the citizens of this country. all the citizens of the country.
You're seeing this through
message. They cannot message. I'm sorry, but I can understand why you're taking a certain action overseas, but it has to be explained properly. And when it's being done in 180-degree opposite of now, you're driving up gas costs, you're driving up diesel costs, you're driving up food costs. You're taking what you give people with the bill and basically offsetting it by poor messaging and poor procedure in trying to adjust the core problem.
Listen, if you're talking about the overall synopsis of the economy given by the administration, they're talking to the country. And where your point is right, they're making a mistake because Greg and LaGrange only sees this through Cook County, Illinois eyes, right? And it's hard for a president to say because I don't think you're right. They should do this. For instance, in Cook County, just on sales tax, Cook County, the thieving rat bankrupt hellhole, adds 1.75% onto sales tax. So Illinois is 6.5 or 6.25. But if you buy that same item in Illinois, you're going to pay 8% on sales tax. And by the way, that includes on gas. Now, as the item goes up, the percentage tax goes up. So the item you buy in Crooked County is nothing for me in Collier. It's a tremendous difference. So when he's talking to me, and he's talking to my neighbor, and he's talking to Greg, what he really should say, to your point, is if you're dumb enough to elect Democrats who are adding taxes on taxes and they're percentage-based, incentivized by government to drive up the cost because then they make more money, well, then shame on you. He doesn't do that. Maybe he should. You might be right. In fact, the whole motto of all Republicans and anybody who's not a thief or a moron should be from this point forward. If you, unfortunately, can't get out of a Democrat area or are dumb enough not to know why, well, then your costs are going to be extremely expensive on everything that enters your hand, your house, or your mouth.
I've never seen an administration that has the perfect prima facie example of the past administration of those complete anti-American group of people that ran the country 4 years prior to Donald Trump this time. See what they suffered through high inflation and high costs and refuse to address it in total across the country. It's a problem. I think you're right. Don't get me wrong. And you're the one that taught me this. You're the one that taught me this on a Sunday night. When you buy a place or when you're living in a place, you're always at the disposal and you're always at the knee. You're always on the knee to the local fiefdom, right?
Yeah.
That's what you said, not in so many words, but that's what you taught me. I realize I'm getting it twice as hard in Illinois, and I'm working to get out of it. All I'm saying is that this administration should be doing a better job, a tighter message.
They got me 4 to 7 every day during the week. This is what I'm doing. This is why you listen. This is what it is. Listen, it's a really simple message. I almost start every show, and I try to end every show. If you want to live low, if you want to live where things are high and the quality of life is low, then you're a Democrat. If you don't, you are not. It's that breakdown. It's that. Here, listen. This is a great clip. Listen.
I didn't raise property taxes, as you know. It's local governments that do that, and there are a lot of lines on your property.
Now, the beauty of this is so multifaceted. First of all, he's a billionaire who was caught lying, cheating, and stealing on property taxes. Caught. His whole family up to Grandpa Abe. What do? Offshore trust funds. He don't want to pay any fracking taxes. Yet since he's been in, he's raised 57 to 71 taxes and $77 billion to just pay interest. And he says he balances a budget by taking loans. That's ghettonomics. It doesn't even matter if you're a billionaire. If you're a Democrat, you develop ghettos and then the people live in them. Simple, Greg.
Here's one last thing, if I can get it in.
Shoot.
We lived in a great environment where interest rates were always going down. You could always refinance over and over and over again, and you never really paid a penalty because the rate was going down. Now we're in the opposite direction, and it's a bad cycle because interest rates are going to be going up over and over and over again. And it's not going to be easy to dig yourself out of debt.
Do me a favor. Ask me a question. I want you to ask me a question. Now, you know my business, right? Real estate business.
Yeah.
Ask me how many times in my life I refinanced.
How many times have you refinanced in your life?
One time. Because the goal when you get an amortized loan is to amortize the principal. And all you must do is make it one extra payment a year to cut it into a little more than a third. 2 extra payments, you cut it into a third. You know how many people take mortgages and have no idea what it is? That's individual ignorance. This is the thing, Greg. Life, you either live it or you survive it. That's the choice.